Hello traders, Nick Shaheen here looking at Boeing. So today is 8/22/2019. It had news, it spiked up 4%. News was kind of a fake news to me, kind of. They said they're going to ramp up 737 production, and then somebody slipped in there. Sources say that they're going to approve the MAX for the end of the year or something like that. So it kills me when they say sources say. It's just total bunk. In a world where the media spreads news so quickly with social media, it should be disallowed to be able to say sources say and blurt out whatever. There should be more due diligence before it comes out. I know there's freedom of press and protecting your sources and all of that, but it's so easy for these guys and girls to create fake headlines and profit off of them. It's almost impossible to police it. So anyway, they need a throttle of some sorts to make people be able to catch up with the news. All right, so what do I do with it? Nothing, and I'll tell you why. So this is a daily chart of Boeing. This is not daily chart of Boeing. This is Salesforce, which is skyrocketing after hours right now. I'm long, so that's good. Do I start long Boeing here? From this chart, I say no. Onus is on the bulls to be able to break above the current level, today's level, and I'll tell you why, and more importantly, to hold it for footing. So I can tell you that this level right here was a pivot point from recent. There's a mini gap open right here, so let's call it this zone. Let's see if it was significant before. So this, you can call this similar zone was significant. Here we go again. So R, okay, and then here floorboard that broke, and we're back to it. So the question is it R? Is it still R? Because it was kind of R. It's a pivot. So now I'm not sure if it's going to be R or not. So onus is on the bulls to tell me, hey, we're going to move above it, and step two, we're going to hold it. So ideally, I want to see follow through like this in the next couple of days, and then maybe a small dip, and then a bounce off the zone. This tells me they recaptured it, the reins are back in the hands of the buyers versus the sellers, and they could make some headway to close this gap and break out of this. So if this scenario unfolds, if I'm bullish, I probably would not start, I would not start calls today, which I didn't, but I would probably take a long on this bounce if it happens, or an emphatic breakout and sustained. I rarely see that happen, but it does happen. So ideally, I want to see this, and then I can probably take a long and anticipate them get to here. Now, if they do get to here and then they break above it, they'll probably fill this gap right here and try to fill this gap right here, these two. This is the upside. So let's look left to see if I can find if that level was significant some other time. How about that? So it was support. So RS, look at that. It seemed to come and play. So this is definitely a pivot, this line we just drew. And it's not a hard line in the sand. Sometimes it is. More often it's a zone. So it's easy enough to say, why don't I sit out another candle? Now, I love this stock. I think the buyers will buy it in full force. I would not short it. I'm saying I wouldn't go long it today on this candle, but I definitely would not short it. This is a stock that does this. So now it's in consolidation. It's had terrible, terrible news. And here it is, hanging on. So this is a weekly chart of the same company. So this is Boeing on a weekly chart. So every candle here is 1 week. So this is an overkill on some terrible news and terrible market news, right? And then if I wanted to find like pivot zones, this would be one right here. It was an emphatic 1, 2 giant weeks, and then they held above here. And I would argue that this was an aberration, and they held it. And here we are. So this was almost predictable. And now the lines that we're talking about is one is here, and that's the pivot we just found out. And if I draw it across, you'll see it. In fact, interesting. I did not plan it that way, but here it is. This number right here, this orange line right there, we'll go find it out. It's the the point of control. This is where bulls and bears fought it the hardest. So this is where they love to fight it out. So it's congestion. On the way up, it's resistance. On the way down, it's support. And right now, they're right in the middle of it. So what is that number? 346-ish. It's a zone. So let's call it 350 to 346. This is a volume profile thing. It's a mathematical calculation. And for me, every time I zoom in, it adjusts and tells me what the number are. So it depends on which span of time I'm... Why don't I just take the span of time that includes only this zone? So this way, you'll see it's still the same area. So they're right at it. So now I'm looking at a volume profile with a very tight range from here to here as far as value area. This is where they agree the most. Anything outside of that is, quote, unusual. And right in the smack middle of it is the high point, the point of control from volume profile. So not a place to start longs, but definitely a good thesis here to say, let me watch it. Okay, so let me see if I can go on a daily chart and maybe break it down to a 4-hour chart to see if I can get smarter. Nope, still all the same information. So this is a 2-hour chart. Let me see, go down to 30. No, it's the same information. So I'm watching to see what happens tomorrow, if they can break above it and hold it and then go up higher. Great company. It just needs to get over the hump with these headlines. And I'm really upset at management. They're laying down too easily, I think. I know the subject is sensitive and I know people died, but if you didn't do anything wrong, you really didn't do anything wrong, you'll fight for your cause. So it's kind of like torn in between, hey, let's stand up and fight for our reputation, or let's let them beat up on us and stay quiet about it. So it's a pretty tough predicament to be in. But good company, no competition. Well, it has one company, but they're both sold out for 10 years. So really it's a duopoly, but it's almost like if you cancel your order with Boeing, you go to the back of the line with your competitor. So if you cancel with Boeing now, you want to go to somebody else, the French company, then you're back at the line. So you're out 10 years. Anyway, Nick signing out. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Later, bye.